Well, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another edition of Season Ticket Holders. I'm your host, Dane Lillingston, and we have a very special returning, if not our favourite returning guest with us today. He's the Fox Sports news reporter based in Brisbane, social sport extraordinaire, bush doof aficionado, Queensland Reds superfan, Joshua Bristow. Josh, welcome back to the show, mate. How you going?
What an intro, Dane Beachley. Very happy to be here.
Firstly, mate, just tell us what's news in Brisbane. You're obviously up the beat up there. We love to hear about it. What's the latest, mate?
Fair bit going on. Not a lot of it rugby league currently at the moment. I guess there is the Broncos injury crisis, but another homophobia issue with the Lions, the Whitewood saga. We've got some motorsport happening up here. It's all going on. Daniel Saifidi retired today.
Yeah, how was that, mate? Obviously, big name in the game, but that injury just cruelled him in the end, right? Pretty sad news for him. You get emotional?
Yeah, he did actually. He fought back tears a couple of times when we spoke to him. He had literally just told his teammates maybe 10 minutes before we did the press conference. Admittedly, I think he said a lot of them sort of knew it was coming because he hasn't trained at all this year, basically. But I was looking up, he had a quietly good career. Like, I know a lot of it was hidden away on some awful Newcastle Knights teams, but he really was almost their only shining star for a couple of those wooden spoon years under Nathan Brown. He was very good in that awful, well, I say awful as a biased Queensland fan, that 2021 Origin series. He was a good player.
Yeah, no, he was, mate. He reminded me of the Joker. If you've seen the original 1989 Tim Burton Batman, very obscure reference, but
Okay,
Jack Nicholson Joker. That's
I'll tell him that.
Please don't. He'll find me. Mate, you did touch on it. I did want to get straight into the Broncos, mate. Injury crisis. I think there was 13 missing. I'm reading now 14 players unavailable. It's just getting deeper and deeper. And the craziest story is Dean Mariner. Almost losing a leg by the center, limb-saving surgery. Obviously injured that in the game on the weekend against the Roosters. He came back on with 15 minutes to go. You could see that it was pretty strapped up. They said it was a bad cork. He had to go to surgery straight after the game with acute compartment syndrome. Mate, it was pretty terrifying. I was reading how he was in bed, woke up at like 1:30, had to get checked by the doctor, straight to the ER. Badly corked eye. Mate, what happened?
Yeah, I mean, that's a good question, isn't it? It's insane that he went back out. And I guess the NRL probably have to ask questions of that. I guess in the Broncos' defense, they just thought it was a cork, right? And if Dean Mariner's saying, I'm fine, get me out there, you probably go with that. They know their bodies pretty well. But yeah, I think, did you get the clarification email from the Broncos doctor talking all about, having to go up to his room at like 1:30 in the morning and rushing him into hospital, getting emergency surgery? Like, a pretty crazy story.
Yeah, I was reading it before, mate. It said he's called at 1:30. It was obvious that his thigh had deteriorated. He was in significant pain. The thigh was very firm. We performed an ultrasound in the hope of draining a hematoma, but the swelling was diffused. Thankfully, he still had some functioning nerves and arteries, so they had to send him straight to the RPA emergency department. And mate basically got rushed straight to the hospital Sunday morning. It looks like he's going to be out for 2 months. So, mate, pretty scary. I mean, you wouldn't think like a bad cork, but pretty scary for Dean. He's been one of the Broncos' best this year, so big blow for him, and couldn't come at any worse time. You got Katoni Staggs, we'll get into that in a second too, having an absolute brain snap with the UFC elbow. Adam Reynolds also going down with a HIA. And mate, the game itself looked like Broncos of 2025 being down 30-0. And then in the second half, I couldn't shut up. I scared my girlfriend about 20 times, mate, to come back to 30-24.
Do you have a girlfriend, Dan?
What's that?
Do you have a girlfriend?
My partner, yes, mate. Bristow. Nice trip to Colombia last year.
That's good to hear.
Thank you, mate. Hey, you're about to
I'm
tie
proud
the
of you.
knot, right? You're tying the knot. What are you talking about? You can't talk.
That's a rugby league podcast, mate.
30-24, Josh. It looks like the Broncos were going to do it. Carrigan pushes this little offload that wasn't on. We go down the other end of the field, and Katoni Staggs lands a very, very sweet John Jones-esque, that's a UFC reference for you, mate, elbow on the ground, but absolute brain snap. He's been one of our best, mate. What the fuck?
Yeah, it's got to go in the pantheons of brain snaps, doesn't it? What was the other one? Because other people were bringing them up. The greatest one for me, obviously, was the Paul Carriage one, but I was reminded of the Josh Reynolds where he passed the footy to the ref at halftime. Do you remember that one?
I do,
I think
vaguely,
at the Titans, that was a great one. Yeah,
Gee,
what was he doing? That killed the game then and there.
mate, sin bin, what, there was still just, what, I think it was just under
It
10
was
minutes to
about 10
go.
minutes. Yeah, it was the whole game. Yeah.
And the Broncos had been on top that entire half. Was 50th minute Walsh, Wilson 58th minute, Carrigan 60th, Ricky 65th. And we've seen in the NRL this year, once you score a try, they come in bunches. And then obviously Reece Robinson scores with a man down, 74th minute. They clinch it 38-24. Got to say with the Roosters, mate, they're looking better and better each week as well. They're going to be a scary team. Sam Walker is back in form. Tedesco has been just about the form fullback in the competition. I think he should probably be the Blues number one if we're picking them on form. And Daly Cherry Evans, mate, he's impressed. Well, just firstly, what do you reckon about the Roosters so far this year?
Yeah, they've been good. I mean, what are they up to now? 5, 6 in a row after sort of, some teething issues early on. But it does remind me, sadly, very much so of the early or the first Cooper Cronk year. Remember they lost a couple in a row to start. Everyone was sort of writing their death warrant and then they just steamrolled everyone. So sadly, I can kind of see a bit of deja vu happening with that. But DC is playing great. Like he's a true champion, isn't he? I maybe could have him back in the Origin considerations, considering how poorly the other options are playing.
Big call, mate. I was going to ask you that later in the show, but we may as well get into it now because, yeah, what they've strung together 5 in a row. They had a draw as well. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 wins. Obviously, put 62 on the Dragons the week before as well. But DCE, mate, with the way Cam Munster's going at the moment, would it be the biggest shock in the world for Billy Slater to bring him back? I don't think he's got an ego, Billy. Like, I don't think he would care for bringing him back a year after dropping him. But you're up there
No,
in
yeah.
You're up there in Queensland, mate. What do you feel? Do you actually think Billy could make that move, right? I wouldn't put it past him.
I don't think there's any world where Cam Munster isn't playing game one, but we saw last year that Billy isn't afraid to make some tough calls around that. So if they lose game one badly, Munster plays as poorly as he has in Clubland, I could definitely see DCE getting the bat call.
Mate, yeah, with Munster, like you said, we're talking about it, like, they're playing so bad. Melbourne's just lost 7 in a row, first time in club history. He looks personally out of form. I think he's been open on his podcast about thinking about retirement. That's obviously still a couple of years away, and it'd be crazy to think that barring injury, he's not leading the team out there game one in Sydney. But you got DC, you've got Ezra Mam playing really well, Tom Dearden, who hasn't let Queensland down. Plenty of options. There's even your boy, which I did want to touch on later, Jake Clifford. Jesus Christ, mate.
Yeah, I wondered if you're going to bring this up. I'll out myself as the mayor, the president of J. Clifford Islands. I bought property there many, many years ago when he was playing for Tully in the Cairns League. And I have never sold. I have never moved out, even when he was playing in the Super League. But talk of Jake Clifford playing Origin is crazy talk. I can't believe I've seen some of that from multiple different sources. There
Mate,
are so many Queensland halves in front of him. I could maybe see him getting in the squad. There's always a couple of odd ones in the squad, and that would be a great outcome as a Jay Clifford defender. Get a bit of confidence. He's 27, 28, but he's still only a few years away. I can tell you that.
I mean, even the bench, though, if we're being totally honest, I did want to touch on that later, but even the bench would be crazy because, like, you'd have to think, what, you got Munster, Dearden, Mam, DCE potentially, you'd bring him back as well before him. There wouldn't really even be a bench spot, you'd imagine, right?
No. I will say, though, Clifford is a confidence player. If Billy calls him up and says, mate, I believe in you, I could see a superhuman performance from Clifford, but this is me trying to put all my chips in that I've accumulated and have not sold out just yet. But yeah, that's crazy talk.
The prices on that island are about to skyrocket, mate. You just wait. Uh,
They
Josh,
better.
yeah, so well, Roosters flying hard with DC, with Sam Walker, with Teddy there. On the Broncos, though, that's sort of a look back to last year. A second half team started way too slowly in that one. Like I said, plenty of injuries now. Going to take it to 14. You've got Josiah Karapani as well as an ankle injury who had to go off, which was the reason Dean Mariner came back on with 15 minutes to go. Adam Reynolds' concussion looks like he misses their game Saturday night against Manly as well. But the one man I did just want to touch on a losing effort, we all cried about Payne Haas earlier this year, mate, but Xavier Willison. absolute gun. Watching him play, he's filled in at lock, he's filled in the second row, he's filled in at prop this year. I have to think as a Broncos fan, which I am, he is just a ready-made replacement to step up into Payne Haas's shoes. I know you can't replace Payne Haas. He's a one of a kind, once in a generation, potentially once in a game's history type player. But the way Xavier's playing at the moment, what's the feeling up there in Brisbane with Michael Maguire? And I know the chat with the journos, but man, it looks like he really just becomes Payne Haas next year, right? And the way that he's going, the form that he's shown so far this year.
Yeah, they love him up here. He's a Michael Maguire favourite, and he's playing so well. And I didn't think he could play this well. I really thought when he first sort of came into grade that he might have that issue that some players of his size do, in that they're sort of a bit too big for rugby league. I think of
You and
guys
I
like,
never had that, Josh. You and I never had
yeah,
that problem.
no, mate, we've got to bring the little man back. Um, please. But no, yeah, I'm thinking of guys like Dane Tills, even Jordan Mailata. You know, he went to the NFL. Ben Takura, a Bronco who's currently trialing in the NFL. Just guys that are a little bit too big to really excel at NRL. But yeah, Xavier Wilson's come on in leaps and bounds. He looks fit, doesn't he? Which, you know, I don't want to go back over Maguire's training methods, but he's certainly responding to them.
Mate, I was just looking at his stats just then. He made the most meters of any Bronco, 142, as well as 28 tackles and just the one miss. And he did get set up for that really nice try in the 58th minute. I believe it was of Tom Duffy, another guy, super impressive. But it just fills me with joy as a Brisbane fan. I'm sure it does out there, just thinking that you will lose Payne Haas. And obviously, there's some cavalry on the way to replace him. But then you've got Willison, who I feel right now, if he stays like this, replaces him. And just on Duffy too, mate. Every time he stepped into that jersey, he's looked amazing. He looks a lot older than his years. Obviously, North Queensland product as well. Looks like they want to extend him with Jonah Pezzett coming in next year. But him as well, he must have high raps because I feel like he's probably going to get the nod this week as well. Every time he's stepped up, he's looked great.
Yeah, he has really impressed me. He was one that just shocked me that the Cowboys let go at the end of last year, because I just heard so much about him coming through. And I mean, I feel like we've gone through this every single year. It feels like they're about to dump Jake Clifford at the end of every single season, but somehow he always sticks around and survives. Yeah, I'm surprised that the Broncos were able to pick him up, but he's been good every time they've called upon him.
The way I'm seeing this is it's just a fair trade. We did the same thing with Tom Dearden back in the COVID sad Anthony Seibold
Yeah.
years. It's revenge now. We get Duffy. At the way he's playing, I think it's going to be a good battle with him and Pezzett to see who takes that number 7 jersey when Reynolds retires next year. Shout out to Victor Radley as well. On report for 3 separate incidents and found out live on the Fox League panel he didn't get charged for a single one. And if you go and watch the clip, he's absolutely shocked. So good on Victor,
Champagne
the
television.
inflictor. Mate, he can't act that well, surely. And then also to Cody Ramsey, who was out for more than 1,300 days, career ending, potentially ulcerative colitis. I think they told him he'd never play again, but he did get back on there for the Roosters. So
Wouldn't the
awesome.
Dragons have loved to have had that story this week?
They'll take any story, mate. They'll take any story right now. The poor St. George Illawarra. But you're all right. That would have been a nice feel good for them, mate. So on the Broncos, I think bouncing back in Manly, obviously, you've seen the way they've stepped up this year. It seems to really be like a next man up. I know it's like one of the corniest and like things that we hear
Oh, I
players
hate when
say,
players say that now. I roll my eyes
Josh,
every time.
but is this an example of that, mate? Just the way they're going? Because it seems like I think we're hearing a potential of Phil Coates, brother Xavier, could potentially debut on the wing with the amount of outs they've got now. But the last couple of games, I mean, they came close to pulling off the biggest comeback rather in NRL history, getting the job done against the Tigers as well, bit undermanned. Is that what's happening up there right now?
Yeah, I mean, they're playing. It's impressive that they somehow managed to win or almost win against all the odds, but I just wonder how sustainable it is. Like, I know siege mentality is all encompassing in rugby league, but surely it can't last until September. Like, it is an insane injury list. I know they got a couple of people back. Like, who is next in line to come off that list? Like, how far away is Ben Hunt or
Good question. Good question. I think Ben Hunt, surely he's like in the next month. I know what Billy Walters was more like round 20. Who else they're missing? Adam Reynolds might potentially 2 weeks. So it's not like there's a ton to come back anytime soon. You're right about that.
I will say, I'll get my designated Super Rugby time in, but did you see former Bronco Israel Leota score for Moana Pacifica at Super Round?
You know that I didn't.
It was incredible, incredible try, one of the best I've seen. But as he was scoring it, I was thinking, geez, the Broncos would actually need his services now. Moana Pacifica are going bust in about 4 games, though, so he could potentially be back in the Broncos team by June.
They can all go play for PNG, mate. Just want to go through the team list. Preston Ricky, that is, was suspended. He's due back next game. Obviously, Stag's facing a 2-week suspension for that UFC elbow. Takora's doing his NFL trial, right? Moser, broken jaw, round 13. Payne Haas is down as round 14, as is Ben Hunt. Deloise Hoyter, I'll remember him, round 15. Grant Anderson's round 16. Corey Jensen, Dean Mariner, Brendan Piacora, all TBC at the moment. Adam Reynolds and Billy Walters as well, mate. So that's the injury list. So it's going to be interesting, mate. Injury period's going to hit them hard. You think Reece Walsh there, Ezra Mam's going to be involved in some way as well. Paddy Carrigan, Payne Haas is obviously going to miss the game one. So it's going to be a big test for Madge
Yeah,
and
of course,
the
as
team.
as you mentioned, the issue for them is they get what 2-3 more games, and then another half of the team is in Origin. So
Exactly.
they're really going to be up against the walls in a couple of weeks.
I think the best thing about this, though, is that you've seen Willison, Duffy, stand up and those types of guys. Like, it's a good test for their depth. It's only going to be good back end of the season when they've had to do this. But, mate, we'll wait and see. Josh, the big story last week, the one that I was all over, and I know we like talking about our expansion sides, and I can see there, what are you wearing? Tell us what you're wearing for our audio listeners.
Hello, all one of you, Dane's mum.
Mum
I
doesn't know how to work it. She
that's
watches
good. Yeah,
YouTube. Thanks, mate. Yeah.
fair enough. This is I think it's a 1989 PNG Kummels jersey.
Awesome, mate.
One of
Where'd you
my
find that?
favorites. The dark arts, mate. I can't reveal my sources,
Jesus.
nor
How much?
nor can I reveal how much I paid for it. But that's okay.
At least a weekly salary for Fox Sports News, that's for sure.
That's not saying much, though. I think to be fair, I think I sourced this from some bloke in America, so I don't know how it ended up there, but yeah,
Crazy stuff, mate.
he only had a
Well,
half idea of what he had.
mate, now it's all yours. Treasure. The PNG, mate. Papua New Guinea Chiefs. Shock news last week. It all happened pretty quick. Jarome Luai would walk out in the Tigers, if you want to call it that, 18 months after signing his deal. What was a 5-year deal, but really had player options for 3, 4, and 5. Means he'll see out 3 years and be the inaugural marquee signing for 2028. Potentially, it was actually Alex Johnson, depending on who you believe. But he is going to be there as their big signing. Pretty shock if you're a Tigers fan. I've heard mixed reviews. You know, he's still going to be there for another 18 months. He's a big reason why they're doing so well now. And he will be there for 3 years after the end of it. But he is still walking out the club when he said things like loyalty first. Give the big clip to Lachlan Galvin when he walked out on the club as well. But a massive signing for PNG, mate, as if they needed any more help other than the $600 million the Australian government's going to give them in their beautiful compound. Now this is
Not
real.
allowed to
What did
call
you...
it a compound, mate. It's a
Yeah,
resort.
what are we calling it? It's a resort. I mean, it's a compound, but they want us to call it a resort. Is that right?
Yeah, that's what I'm hearing. My favorite thing about the Jarome Luai signings, it's sort of like jolted everyone out of a slumber, which is so rugby league. Like all the clubs signed off on the tax-free money. They knew it was going to happen, but I think they just all thought it wouldn't happen to them, if you know what I mean. And then
Yeah.
suddenly they sign one player who is a good player, but I wouldn't put him on a superstar tier list. You know, he's not Nathan Cleary. He's not Reece Walsh. He would probably be the level below for me. But suddenly it's unfair, and how can this happen? And you know, we'll just quietly not mention that we were happy to take the $4 million each 12 months ago when we said okay to it. But you know, it's an outrage.
I was saying it a few weeks ago, not to toot my own horn here on season ticket holders, mate, but it was literally, I think, the week before saying that, you know, people don't understand what these tax-free dollars are actually going to do. And it felt like there wasn't a real narrative around that, like you said, until they were woken from this slumber, because they're like, oh, shit, you know, you're going to get double the salary you are as if you're in Australia. I mean, he signed for $1.2 million, a
Yeah,
3-year deal. It's the same money he's on at the Tigers, but he's going to get $1.2 million. He's not going to get 650,000 or whatever it would have been in the Australian tax
I think everyone
system.
just lulled themselves into a false sense of security when they were thinking like, oh, you know, they're living in compounds, as you said. They'll only just overpay for mid-tier old and young guys, but it's
Mm.
really changed the landscape when they've gone first out bang and stolen someone's marquee player. You're right. It is seriously a lot more money if you think about it. And like they're in Sydney every second weekend. The
Yeah.
NRL season goes from, March to September. It's not. I don't think it's that much of a an ask where you're going to sleep for 6 months of the year.
Yeah, you're right. I mean, you can go home, what, September, October. You can probably get away with not going back to preseason until maybe January, potentially a few weeks in December, and then staying, yeah, like you said, that 8, 9 months, whatever it is. But it is going to be interesting because now he's fallen. I was at the press conferences. I was at Jarome Luai and Benji Marshall. There was a real consensus that it wasn't like this big blow. They
You
very
only go to the big
much.
stories, mate. Dane
That's
Reed,
right.
they call him.
That's Benji did direct that at me. But it was interesting because they really sold it in the most positive possible light they could about this. And that's a narrative that they've actually managed to finally spin sort of in their favor. It's not soon seen as a big blow to the
Mm,
Tigers. The
they have
news
done well.
cycle. Yeah, the first time the Tigers have spun something positively, it's really turned into this is such a beautiful feel-good story for PNG. I was also at Michael Chammas and the CEO and the Minister for Sport of PNG at NRL headquarters last week as well. Again, they've sold this brilliantly so far. And what I'm going to lead into is Perth, because obviously that's the team that no one's talking about. That's actually the next team to enter the NRL. And while this is an amazing signing for them, plenty of people are now asking, why hasn't Perth been afforded anything? It's a bit too late now, right? I mean, we're 6 months away from
Yeah,
them entering a preseason. I was looking
so
at their.
rugby league.
Mate, it's crazy though, right? Because they're all going, oh shit, wait, hang on. We gave these guys a double the salary cap to start in a country where it's not a hard sell to the people because it's going to be well supported by businesses and fans and that type of thing. But yet they're going to an AFL dominated foreign city where rugby league has a small history, as you well aware of, but doesn't really have a support base anywhere near, obviously, PNG. Should they have been given some sort of compensation? I like to say marquee player allowance. I think one player that didn't go under the salary cap would have been a big help. Instead, they're given the exact same money that every other NRL team's going to get. I've said this before, but it worked with the Dolphins because they had a history. They had Brisbane behind
Well,
them.
they had pokies.
They did have a slap. That's true, mate. They did have help. And again, I've been to the casino in Perth and playing pokies are not fun. In WA, pokies are only legal in the casino. It's the only place you can play them, and they take away all the bells and whistles and the sounds that are supposed to give you the dopamine hits or whatever. So instead, they just flip over, Josh, like silent little cards.
It's disgusting, mate.
It's the shittest way to spend money, and also very intelligent and smart and a beautiful way to get people not hooked on those things. But you are right. Why haven't we helped Perth?
Yeah, I mean, it's just so rugby league, isn't it? Was it the GM of football quit? The CEO is a newspaper guy. The coach hasn't coached in clubland since the 90s, and when he did, he wasn't that good. Jobs for the boys. It's just overconfidence, I think. I want this to work. As you know, I'm a rugby league nerd. I want it to expand to the West. But I've been workshopping this idea with a couple of other people, so I can't take the responsibility for it completely my own. But it really does throw the mind back to the explosion at the start of Super League in 1995. Like you think back, the league was high off the successful introductions of Brisbane and Newcastle in '88. They put in not one, not two, not three, but four new expansion teams when you've already got clubs like Balmain, West, Illawarra struggling. You look at the depth of clubs this year, there's just not enough players. We've overexpanded. I really don't want to be a downer, but I could see this blowing up in the NRL space. I desperately don't want it to, but should they just offer $4 million to Harley Reid?
Mate, I share
He's got a
your
big fend
sentiment.
off.
I share your sentiment, mate, because yeah, it's scary. Let's go through the team because I think they should have had some help. It's too late now. I think a casual NRL fan wouldn't be able to really tell you a player they've signed. I think that's fair, right? Like NRL people like us know, but everyone knows right now, no matter how big of an NRL fan you are, Jarome Luai's gone to PNG. I don't think you could say
Yeah. I mean, just piggybacking off you, my girlfriend, she knows Jerome
you have a
Luai's going to
girlfriend,
PNG.
Josh.
Yeah, a fiance actually, mate.
There, you better
Um,
correct it.
she came to me and said, "Oh, Jerome Luai's going to PNG. How wild is that?" Which just shows you the cut through they got already.
Exactly, exactly. I want to look through the best 19 here on Shout Out to Zero Tackle right now. Now, obviously, I think they've only got taking away 18 players signed. They obviously need a squad of 30, and they're going to be starting preseason at the end of this year. So they've got 6 months or so to put together the rest of this roster. They currently have number 9, no player assigned. They don't have a renowned hooker or recognised hooker at all signed yet. They've got Nick Meaney at fullback. Sean Russell, Harry Newman, Sifa Talakai, Luke Lolili. That's their outside backs. The halves, I mean, you could make a case for a nice state league team in Tyron Wishart and Toby Sexton. That's solid. No one's going to buy a season membership based on that. Liam Henry, great player for Penrith as well. Mikolaj Oledzki, I think I got that right. I'm going to go with that. Scott Sorensen, obviously premiership winner with Penrith. James McDonald, Josh Curran, another big name. And then, rounding out their bench, I mean, you've got Isaac Fasuamala-Aui, Apatwiddle, who's been doing stuff for the Eels as well. But, mate, does that fill you with any excitement at all?
It doesn't. I will temper the chat with, like, you could probably have also said this about the Dolphins squad.
True, very
Uh,
true.
in a similar time frame to when they started. I know they had Wayne Bennett and, as we've said, Pokies, so they did have a bit more of a solid base, and in the capital of rugby league, Brisbane. So there is still some time, but yeah, you're right. The Chiefs have just absolutely steamrolled them.
Yeah, look, and I don't know what's going to change, man. I was even hearing a comparison on podcasts I was listening to about how shit their social media has been, as far as Perth that is, and just trying to drum up.
Yeah, I'll back that up. Actually, someone else sent this to me the other day. It's shocking. It's like word art. There, did you even see the first shirts they put out?
No.
They did a big, like, oh, it's the first ever Perth Bears merch, and it's like a training shirt with 10 sponsors on the front. Like, just really missed the mark for me. Like, how could you get excited about that as a fan? It's just been shocking. Like, and I know it seems very sort of nitpicky, but like every time I've checked their social media, they're just like reposting random fans' shittily done stories. Like, what other club does that? Like, they don't seem to have a style guide. They just seem really behind the pace.
Well, that's the thing, right? And the one thing that they could get right, given they are going to be on the back foot when it comes to attracting talent, salary cap, all that type of thing, is that they could get that stuff right. The easy stuff. Have a gun social media
Mm.
team. Have awesome merch. I know from watching that Dolphins documentary, you could see how on the ball they were with pumping that merch out, with getting those socials out. And they did a great job. They had the help of having a rugby league city behind them in Brisbane, which was a big help. But, mate, they are just going to
I
start
think
on.
Dolphins had a jersey out you could buy for almost 12 months before they played a game.
Exactly. And that's what I mean.
Yeah.
Getting that type of stuff out there. I saw an article with Bulldog Richie who said that now they should be given an additional $2 million above the salary cap for the next 3 to 5 years, or they're going to fail. And while that's a pipe dream, mate, you've got to say, like, this is destined to fail. You're going to an AFL dominated city. They're going to struggle so hard. They don't have a marquee player. They're getting no help. Players don't want to go. I've read by Scott Sorensen wanted to go there. That's because his wife's family's from WA. I just don't know the dream that Mal Meninga is going to be able to sell you to go to Perth. The North Sydney connection is a nice idea in theory, but it counts for nothing. Like, it doesn't matter. They're in North Sydney. They're going to play a few games there every year. That connection means nothing to Perth people, right? What did we have there back in the day? The Reds? Like, there needs to be some sort of connection. I
Yeah.
just can't see it. It's going to be such a struggle for them to do it. I had one mate, shout out to Pat. He is a listener. He does live in Perth. He did say he wanted to bet me that Perth will finish above PNG in 2028. And Pat, I will take that bet every single day of the week because I
Yeah,
just can't
right.
see it happening based on what they're doing. You have to think PNG have plenty more aces up their sleeve. And even in the next 12 months, the 6 months before they're in the competition, I reckon they're going to have 3 to 4 big marquee names coming into that team. I can't see them not with the amount of salary cap space that they have to work with. Whereas this Perth team, they're going to have to get extremely lucky to get someone. But you're right, it's going to be a Dolphins team that was sort of lucky in a way to get Hamiso Tabuai-Fidow for him to be a bit of a face of
Mm.
the club. But I just don't see that sort of player. Like, is Nick Meaney going to be that guy? I just don't know. Is Toby Sexton going to be that guy?
No.
Tyron Wishart's been long touted as, he's one of the best halves or utilities not starting in an NRL team. But again, I just don't see him being that guy. So good luck to them, man. But I do feel for Perth.
The one thing I will say is, like, if I flip it to the AFL, the GWS Giants ate shit for many years, and then they've been good. The Gold Coast Suns ate shit basically until last year. But that's because the AFL, unlike the NRL historically, have been patient and pumped untold millions into these expansion teams. I think Perth could be a success, but you need to at least have the patience to be able to stick it out like the AFL have in their expansion cities. But under this administration and historically throughout rugby league shows us that patience is lacking amongst rugby league people. So I think, yeah, if they're not good over the next couple of years, we could be 1995 Super League territory.
Mate, I think if anyone can do it, it is still Peter V'landys. Like, you'd have to think Uncle Pete finds a way. I don't know what that way is because I don't know how you can pay fans to go to games or anything like that. But you have to have faith that he is going to find a way. So we're going to have to watch this space. I'm like you, man. I love my NRL. I want to see it expand. I want Perth. I want it to be a truly national comp. I wouldn't even hate an Adelaide team one day, but to see this Perth team, I think that's been the one that everyone's been calling for so long, for that to be the next expansion team. And it's actually happening. And it's just a bit sad that it's happening in a way that I guess is just not filling anyone with excitement except the most loyal of Perth rugby league fans. And I don't know how many of them are
I mean,
out there, right?
it will be fun because it does unlock that, like, a new time slot for the NRL, which I have enjoyed in the AFL when you get that sort of late Sunday night game or early Saturday, which the AFL can have. But it's not going to be fun when you're just watching whatever Sydney team beat up, the second-rate Bears every time.
Well, the other thing too is like they're not going to do well selling when they are in Sydney. I mean, besides North Sydney, I mean, if there's going to be enough Bears fans really that get behind this team, that's going to be
Yeah.
the big question. They say they're going to do it, so we'll just have to wait with their feet. I'll be watching those crowd numbers very interestingly next year to see how that all goes. Mate, just on the Tigers too, just when it couldn't get any worse, 52-10 to the Sharks. So I guess they can hand back their grand final tickets. Unfortunate for them. And just to top it all off, Adam Dewey dislocating his shoulder, I believe. Samuel Afinu also going off. So pretty big blows for them. In some good news, though, to offset the Jarome Luai news, they re-signed Terrell and Taylor May, and looks like Jareen Buller will extend in about a $10 million sort of signing coup. So good news for Tigers fans there, mate. Offsetting the heartbreak of Luai.
Yeah, I have been laughing over the last couple of weeks how people have been sucked into the Tigers like they were last year after about the same time period. I think they are better this year. I think they are a chance to make the 8, but I have just laughed at all this commentary that talks basically like the club has turned around. They will play finals this year, when I think there's still a lot of questions around that, particularly now that they've lost their best player in 18 months. He walked out after, preaching loyalty, like you said earlier. It's a big watch for me, Daniel. I think you got that
Daniel.
wrong.
Yeah, mate. No, I agree. I've had a Tigers podcast since, and just I feel like I think there was even a few years ago where they maybe like won 1-2 in a row or 3 in a row, and everyone was like, I mean, they were top of the ladder after 2
Well, I
games or whatever it
remember
was.
I remember vividly, I think last year, didn't they win 2 or 3 in a row at the very start of the season? And
And we're all
I just
saying the
remember
same thing.
watching all the chat shows saying like, oh, they'll play finals this year. And then it just fell in a heap. I'll believe it when I see it, Dan.
Mate, Tigers, thank you, not Daniel. Tigers fans are going to come for us, mate. They're 100% going to do it. Look, they're 5-3. They're currently 5th, but I think the one thing we've got to remember about this current NRL competition, mate, it is so open. Like, take away Penrith at the top and Dragons at the bottom. Obviously, Storm struggling, but you'd have to imagine they're going to get things eventually back on track. Eels and Titans, we probably expected to see them down the bottom, but you've got the Bulldogs, Dolphins, Knights, Broncos, all currently outside the 8. All teams that very much have a good chance of doing it. I think it's going to be one of the most wide open comps we've seen. It's going to be very interesting to see how the Tigers do go. And if they finish 9th again, that would just be like back to old times, right? The old Tigers 9th place finish. I
You said
wouldn't
it's
be
one of the most
surprised.
open comps. Is it also one of the most unwatchable, Dane? Like, how are you feeling about the quality of footy this year? Because I am pretty low on it.
Really? Okay. Well, let's just get into this, Josh. I do have my new segment. Don't know if I had it with you last time, good or bad for fans. I'm going to say a statement. You're going to tell me whether it's good or bad for fans. Before I get into it, I do just want to thank our sponsor, National Freight Management. They
Ching ching.
specialize. Thank you very much, mate. They specialize in domestic freight from cartons through to pallets nationwide. Shout out to Gerard and the team. Do a fantastic job. happy to hop on board. Now, good or bad for
I've
fans,
never bought another crate from anyone else.
there you go, man. We're going to clip this up. Thank you. The big scores, the quality of football. We saw 42-38 Knights Rabbitohs. The six agains, the rule changes. We're seeing more points than ever before. You're saying now the product, maybe not so watchable. Did you mean the high score lines? You mean just the way the games are flowing at the moment?
Which, I mean, I'm not the first person to say this, but it just feels like I've walked into a time machine and I'm back in 2010 watching the Toyota Cup every week, which was like fun to watch Omar Slowmankle kill it for the Warriors and thinking what he could be. Rest in peace to his career. But the score lines of like 48-26, where there's a million points, but the result is never in doubt, are just so boring to me. And I know that the NRL is touting record ratings and crowds, but we all know you can cut these numbers up however you want to suit your own purposes. I don't think I've met anyone who actually watches footy that is enjoying it properly. Like, I have to watch footy for work. I know, what a shame. But there have been so many games that if I wasn't having to watch them for work, I would have switched off at halftime or 10 minutes into the second half, where, yes, there's a try being scored every minute, but you know who's going to win, and it's just turnstiles deluxe.
So good or bad for fans, big scores. You're saying bad for fans.
It's bad for fans. I heard a stat just before that the average score every game has hit 50 for like the first time maybe ever or in a long time, and just made me sad, Dan. This isn't the sport I love, you know?
I was going to say it was
I yearn for two refs and full arm penalties.
when
Bring
I
back the
actually
wrestle.
when I saw that the result of the final game, I didn't get to watch it live, was 18-16 Penrith with Seagulls. I got to say I was shocked. And I suppose that
Yeah.
goes some way in explaining like the mentality of games this year, right? You're like, oh my God, like what, 3 tries apiece? That's like a low scoring game. But you are right. Like
I found myself getting 15 minutes into the second half, and it's sort of like a 20-24, and I'm like, oh, how good would it be if it stopped here, you know? But there's still like half an hour of footy to go.
got to say, just it's interesting because the main game I watched obviously was the Broncos Roosters, and you know you go from a half that was almost unwatchable if you're a Broncos fan anyway, and then the comeback that they put on made it very exciting. But yeah, the constant big scorelines. I mean, that 42-38 Knights Rabbitohs was a pretty exciting game in the defense of that. No, you're not buying that either.
Like, I agree with you, but it was exciting in the way that like eating a Big Mac meal is exciting, you know? Like, oh, the chips taste good. Oh, yep, the little hamburger tastes good. Oh, yep, this post-mix Coke tastes good. But what
And then
happens immediately after you finish it, Dane?
I
You
read
feel shit.
at least a chapter of a book on the toilet. Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
No, I get that. I get that. Look, let's just see how the rest of the comp goes out. This will lead into one thing, though, and I did see someone else, I'm not taking credit for this either, but a conspiracy, Josh. We do know that the TV rights deal is up. The six again rules was one of the changes proposed. Is this a conspiracy by the NRL to make this the most exciting product they could while this deal is about to take place? Is there a conspiracy?
Only if the people that are writing these checks, which I think some of them might be our bosses, so I'll be careful here. Only if the executives who are signing these deals are TikTok brainified and have never watched a real game of footy in their life. Maybe I'll
In
pay that.
in defense, though, isn't that going to be the next generation? So if this is going to be a
Yeah.
deal that goes for 5 to 10 years, don't we have to make the game appealing to those people?
I might not go on another one of these podcasts. You just make me feel too sad. That is a grim
We should,
future.
geez, should have had a chat before the podcast. Yeah, look, Josh, it's going to be interesting, mate. Look, I don't hate the big scorelines just yet, but I think it's going to be telling more. Let's get to the back end of the season where we're supposed to see this final caliber type football. Let's get Origin out of the way. Let's get to round 20,
Yeah.
round 22. Let's see how the teams have
I
adapted.
guess
Whether
it's frustrating me even more this year because I remember when this last happened. Was it 2021 when they massively dialed up the six agains, and it was just an awful year of footy for all the
well,
same reasons that I've just detailed. And then they've sort of slowly trimmed the hedge back, dialed it back down to something that was like, I think last year was maybe one of the best seasons of footy, wall to wall, that I've ever experienced. And then for some reason, we've just changed it all again for what, you know?
Conspiracy.
Yeah.
No, I agree with you, mate. Last year was amazing. But yeah, you mean like the COVID year, right? When they took the break, even in 2020, and then the Broncos, I remember, won both their games. They changed the rules, came back 3 months later, whatever, or 2 months later in May, introduced the six agains and got rid of the second ref. And that's when football turned crazy for like the rest of that year, right? That was what
Mm.
happened. And now this is sort of just done that on steroids, I guess. It's gone up to 11, really, at the moment, the way it's all been going. I don't hate it as much as you, but yeah, it's going to be watch this space to see if this is the new norm or whether this does settle out as the season goes on. And the front row, mate, is that dead? Jeez, big guys going to be less and less in the game. Mate, the Bulldogs fall from grace this season. They seem to be going backwards. I just read Stephen Crichton missed his flight for that Brisbane game the other week. They're now 12th. They've lost 3 in a row after beating Penrith. Their struggles, mate. Is that good or bad for fans?
Well, bad for Canterbury fans, I would say, but good for everyone else, I think, because when Canterbury are up and about, you certainly hear about it from their fans. Is it justice for Toby Sexton? Is that what we need to be screaming out in the streets?
Well, I do want to say, I mean, the noise continues. Is Galvin a number 7? And I don't think he is. He's a running 6, but they're trying to make him that. They've got a million utilities at that club, and now it looks like the defense has gone out the window. Went down to the Cowboys 28-12. So it'll be interesting to see what Cameron Serrato can do because they look like they've regressed
I
somehow.
mean,
And they were
you're
looking.
an AI man. I did love that they like proudly proclaimed that they're using AI for game plans and they've got a robot Gus in the works. And I'm like, yes, the way you're playing does indicate that you are using AI, mate, because it is full of errors and it's got no idea what it's doing.
I can confirm that I've been using it for my gym routines for at least a year, and I don't have a six pack. So whether that's the beer or the KFC, Josh, I don't know. But maybe you're onto
Yeah, I'm
something
not. I'm
there.
not using it for my wedding shred. I'll tell you that much.
And I just wanted to lead that straight into the Cowboys, mate. Your boys up there won 6 of the last 7. Jake Clifford, as we mentioned before, into Origin calculations. I know how
Yeah.
much you love that. Number 1 Clifford fan. Peyton isn't even resigned beyond this year, mate. But just the way they're going at the moment, good or bad for fans, because they started with Peyton being one of the odds-on favourites to get sacked.
Yeah, I think it's good. I mean, like a good Cowboys team is so fun to see because the whole region gets around them. As you know, I love Jake Clifford. I want the best for Jake Clifford. I want,
Queensland.
yeah, maybe. I love seeing him play well. They've sorted out their future with Scott Drinkwater for good or for bad. But they've made a call. I think it's good for fans that they're back on the front foot. But I will say they do seem to be sort of the merchants of this 2026 brand of footy because a lot of Cowboys games that I watch are that they win are of the genre that we just spoke about, where they win 46-32. You knew they were going to win, but it's just sort of pizzles out to a scoreline, and you could skip the last 20 minutes.
Yeah, no, that's fair. On Peyton too, though, I wanted to say I like dealing with Peyton straight down the line, gives it to you as it is, but not re-signed still for next year. So his currently deal runs out at the end of this season. If they keep playing like this, obviously that will change, but interesting to see what they're going to do. I did just see an article before, Josh. The Broncos, I know this has been discussed before as well, but Broncos, Titans, and Cowboys joining the Queensland Cup, $2 million proposal, potentially for 2028. Is that good or bad for fans?
Um, I don't know. It's a tough one. It's very wish-washy the way that I think just Australian sport, because the AFL one is strange too, but how we approach reserve grade teams. I want to say it's bad in that I am a big Q Cup defender, and I love that the Q Cup actually feels like its own comp, just because it has historic old teams. It's got Wynnum, it's got Souths, it's got a bit more personality than the New South Wales Cup, at least of what I've gathered from both comps. I don't know what this means for the future of it because you would imagine 3, 4 full NRL training teammates are probably going to pump, poor Ipswich Jets who are, paying guys from the local comp $100 a win.
Yeah, that's a fair point. I get what you mean. It's weird when I first moved to Sydney and realised how the New South Wales Cup very much is defeat a team with the same name as the club, whereas Queensland's so different, right? I know the Cowboys have said, and we know as well from our time in Cairns, you've got obviously Northern Pride, Mackay, and Townsville. They want to put it all under one umbrella because that is a long catchment area to put
Yeah.
all your players, which it does make sense for the Cowboys, especially more than any other team, to do that.
You know what? They
Obviously,
won it. They won a comp under that system and made another
true.
grand final.
That is true. It'd be sucked if you're a player though, having to try and travel those distances. But we'll see, mate. We'll see if it all goes through. I did have one last one because it got a lot of traction with your boy Josh Martin on the show a few weeks ago. I don't know if you saw it, but he lit up some comment sections and TikTok in Instagram when he said that the league could go in for the kill in New Zealand on rugby union. It created a lot of chat, mate, coming in there. But the second, it was based off chat around the second team, a second New Zealand team for the 20th NRL franchise. Would that be good or bad for fans if the NRL can go in there and take some of that momentum for union, or is that just a ridiculous thought?
I mean, it's good for fans of league, and I think it would be a smart option because Union is, I think, struggling a little bit over there, which is or has always been perplexing to me, considering how much they love rugby over there. But I think the Super Round, their version of Magic Round, was a good success last week. So that was good to see as a not closet rugby fan, a proud rugby fan. But Moana Pacifica going under, I think the crowds, where was it? Because the Hurricanes are currently at the top of the table and they're playing great footy, great to watch. Yes, I am the Japanese soldier in the forest, but they had horrible crowds at the Cake Tin where the Waz almost had like 35,000, I want to say there. So like, if you want to strike while the iron is hot, I think the opportunity is there. I just don't know what the issue is with Union. Like, I think maybe it's the problem that like international footy is all that people want to watch in Union, and they don't
Yeah.
care as it goes lower down the grades. I guess that's the problem here. Like Wallabies still sell out games, but mate, it's very easy to get a Reds ticket. I've been buying a few for you, but you haven't shown up yet.
One day, one day. But you are right. It's the opposite, right? Like rugby league is everyone just cares about their club, well, and Origin, of course. But you get to internationals, and then the interest just dies off for a lot of fans. And then with rugby union, it's gone the other way. Whereas everyone loves that the World Cup is one of the biggest World Cups of
Hmm.
any sport. But then you get down to domestic rugby, and Super Rugby in Australia just seems to fail. You obviously seen the Pacific team is about to fold. New
Even
Zealand's
in
still got
even in Europe, like the Six Nations has never been bigger, but
mm,
clubs are folding all over the shop in England, Wales, Scotland. It's crazy.
be interesting. I don't know. Maybe R360 comes in and fixes that somehow. I don't know. But interesting for
I've
rugby
got a
union.
bridge to
But
sell you, mate.
poor guys. Who did I read? Jesse Arthurs was in line. Poor guy. That fell through for Jesse. I read that the other day. So unlucky. But Josh, there you go. You've created another clip that'll sure to inflame plenty of rugby union fans across Australia
I
and
am
New
one.
Zealand.
No.
No. You're done now. You didn't really sell it well at all. But I do agree that New Zealand should be the next place to expand and then lock it up for a while. If not, fold a Sydney team and no more teams in Brisbane. I've already said that too. No more until the Dolphins do something. No more. Actually, until the Titans do something. No more. We'll see. Josh,
East
it's been a
Tigers
pleasure.
2030, mate.
Hell no. Ipswich. Bring in Ipswich, mate. I'm from Anala, so why not just bridge that gap? Who
Central,
cares?
bring back the Central Queensland corridor bid.
You know what? So based on that real, it did get plenty of chat about where, and there was a few brave souls who suggested Rockhampton, and that could only be the
Interesting.
most passionate of local Rockhamptians, because I have been through Rockhampton several times and eaten at their KFC, and I will not be back. I'm sorry, Rockhampton, but I'm not going there again, and I love KFC. If I had to drive through, I would probably keep driving. But you can never, ever have
Jeez.
an NRL team. Cairns can have an NRL team before Rockhampton. But let's just say no more Queensland teams
Flip this
until,
up.
yeah.
Get your gloves up, Rocky.
Yeah, all 2,000 obvious with you. Yeah. Anyway, mate, Josh. I was going to say something about beef, but the big cow as you drive in, that's what you see when you go to Rockhampton. It's very
Sure.
exciting stuff. I've just lost my Rockhampton viewer. Josh, thank you as always. Do a great job up there at Fox Sports News in Brisbane. I'll see you for some Origin coverage, mate. We'll catch you with the Broncos later in the year. And the next time there's a big controversy, I'm sure we'll get you on again.
For sure. Thanks, Dane.
Anytime, Josh. And thanks everyone for listening. Give us a like and follow. Support on Spotify and Apple. Give us a 5-star rating if you like. It would be a big help. As always, talk to you soon. Take care. Bye-bye.